Well, good afternoon. This morning, I spoke to representatives from Ontario's 444 municipalities. My friends, it's never been more important to stand together with our municipal partners. And I know that COVID-19 has taken a terrible toll on every community across the province, but I want our municipalities to know that we'll always have your backs. We will get through this together, and we're making steady progress. On average, over the last 2 weeks, we've seen less than 100 daily new cases. Businesses are opening their doors and hiring back people as part of Stage 3. We're firing up our economic engine once again. In June and July, Ontario added back 528,000 jobs. That's 500,000 people back to work. Over 90% of jobs recovered to pre-COVID levels. It's absolutely incredible. And we're going to keep going. We won't stop until every community is back on their feet. That's why we fought and delivered up to $4 billion for our municipalities through the Federal Safe Restart Agreement. Working with our federal partners, we're providing billions of dollars to help municipalities deliver critical services people rely on every single day. And we've already announced the first round of funding for all 444 of Ontario's municipalities, up to $1.6 billion to keep transit systems running and support food banks and homeless shelters. We're providing further certainty to our municipal partners by maintaining the $500 million envelope and structure of the Ontario Municipal Partnership Fund. My friends, we are getting Ontario back on track. No community will be left behind. We're making historic investments in infrastructure all across the province. $27 billion for our hospitals over the next decade, $12 billion for our schools, $2.6 billion for a provincial highway network this year, $1.75 billion for long-term care beds over the next 5 years. These projects will create hundreds of jobs and generate billions of dollars in economic activity. We are an economic powerhouse in North America, as I always say. We have the people, the resources, the tools to come back stronger than ever before. Thanks to our municipal partners and all 14.5 million people of this province, we are in the strongest position possible. We will recover. We will get Ontario back on track with more prosperity and opportunity than ever before. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. I'll be happy to take questions now, but you know something, folks, I got to give a shout out to Jamie. Great to have you back, Jamie. Hope you're well rested. Jamie follows us all around the province, and he's just an incredible guy there. So good to see you again, Jamie. Good to see you too.
We'll go to the phone line for questions. First question.
First question comes from Lucas Meyer from News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hey, Lucas, how you doing?
Very good, Premier. Thank you very much. And also, agreed. Welcome back, Jamie. Okay, Premier, let's just get right into it here. The TDSB and the ministry are speaking today on a hopeful plan. The new chair did say this morning, quote, "I just don't know why every day we're hearing new information. I don't know that the flexibility is necessarily on their side," speaking of you. Should we take from the government rejecting the plan that would have led to smaller class sizes with a shorter day and less of a funding ask to you, that you're essentially prioritizing a full day over a smaller class size? Or is the board, in your mind, being unreasonable?
No, I can't blame anyone for being unreasonable, but our plan has been pretty solid throughout the whole this whole pandemic, coming in with the education. And I'll tell you, I always say we have to be flexible, and we have been flexible. We have to listen too. So the teachers union, I always differentiate between the teachers union and the incredible teachers that we have. But the teachers union, they wanted HVAC. We went out, we gave them HVAC. They wanted more sanitation. We went out, we gave them more sanitation. They wanted more access to the reserves from the boards. We went out and we gave them more on the reserves. You know, we have 500 nurses coming in, $50 million. We have 1,000 cleaners, custodians. We've increased cleaning, $40 million for buses. Just the cleaning alone, we've increased the spending on buses over 20 million. We're spending, to put it into perspective, folks, we're spending $1 billion in transportation, getting our kids back and forth to school. I guess, Lucas, my point is, throughout this whole pandemic, everyone's been flexible, everyone's getting along. We've, you know, even different political stripes. Why is it that the teachers' unions it's just constant? They constantly want to attack. Why don't you be part of the solution instead of part of the problem? Everything you've asked, we've changed it. Anything you say, I want more cleaning, we gave you more cleaning. You want HVAC, we immediately jumped on HVAC. You know, you want more teachers, we gave you access to the reserves. Like, I just don't know what more they can do, but it's just amazing how every union we've dealt with, private and public sector, have been real assets. And I just want to give a shout out to the teachers. You guys are champions. I know so many teachers after school. They're back there checking homework. They're getting prepped. They're doing everything, and they're going above and beyond. But then when we ask them to be not the teachers union to be flexible, they're telling the teachers don't spend 1 extra minute, in exact words, 1 extra minute in the classroom. And I sit back and say, really? That's what the parents want? No, the parents don't want that. They want flexibility for their kids to be in the class. So I'm going to pass it over to the minister.
Yeah, thank you, Premier. Thanks, Lucas, for the question. We just had a very productive discussion with the chair, the director, and the senior leadership team of public health, along with my deputy minister with Toronto District School Board. What we're trying to do is maximize the amount of time a student could be in class in high school. It was proposed originally in one of their earlier drafts at 25% in class learning with their teacher, and the rest would be effectively live synchronous learning. My job and my hope is to work with the school board to increase that percentage so we could really maximize the amount of time a student has in front of their teacher while, yes, keeping classroom sizes low. It's not an either-or proposition. We want to try to get both done. It was a very constructive discussion and positive. I think it will lead to a resolution. Look, at the end of the day, everyone in the province is stepping up and sacrificing. Everyone is doing the very best, and the school board is working around the clock to build up plans that keep those numbers low and fundamentally allow for a safe restart, and we're grateful for that. But as the Premier recognized, I think we need everyone to be part of that solution, and I think when everyone in our society is sacrificing, I mean, it's not unfair for parents and for taxpayers and for myself in my capacity as minister to want to know that the unions are going to be part of that solution as well and work with us, be flexible and creative so that we can get kids in class in a safe manner with the fewest amount of students to maximize that distancing that this government has enabled a $500 million investment through reserves to be spent on things like distancing and spacing. The final point I'll make is we're working with the Toronto District School Board very collaboratively on spacing and distancing, particularly on accessing additional space within the City of Toronto. I know that the municipality, the mayor, and the City of Toronto has been a partner in this respect, and we're so grateful to Mayor Tory's office for his work. The province is also working with them to give them more space to enable them to have more classrooms that have more social distancing, which we know is important to public health, it's important to our government, it's important to parents in Ontario.
Follow up?
I appreciate, the Premier, the point about the unions. However, I did want to get clarity on the board issue of if it is a prioritization of a full day over a smaller class. And Premier, you've also said multiple times that even if you have 30 kids in a class, well, there's one teacher and one ECE that basically have 2 cohorts of 15. But Premier, the point is, if they are in the same class, and I don't know the last time you were in a classroom of 30 or 25 kids, but do you really think it's that simple and that 1 meter separation can be maintained?
Look, as I noted, we had a very constructive call with the Toronto District School Board leadership team, making it very clear that we're going to partner, we're going to be creative, and we're going to help them get to a plan that ensures distancing can be achieved with respect to those elementary class sizes. We're also going to work with them to try to increase the amount of time a student in high school is in front of a teacher in their class. We think that's important as well. It's not about one over the other. It's about trying to ensure both objectives can be achieved. And we think, based on the collaboration that's happening within the school board and the government, that we can do that.
Next question.
Next question comes from Sean Jeffords from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hi, Sean.
Good afternoon, Premier. I wanted to follow up on Lucas's questions there about the TDSB and their plan. Specifically, at the elementary level, I understand that the TDSB proposal would have cut back daily in-class time for elementary students by about 48 minutes in order to push prep time for teachers to the end of the day. What is it about that plan that is unacceptable to the government?
Well, again, I'll pass it over to the minister. He's been dealing with the TDSB. Thank you.
We're spending the past days and the coming hours focusing on getting to a resolution. What we're asking school boards, particularly our unions, to do is to provide the maximum flexibility for school boards to enable them to teach a child for the entire duration of the day, to the extent that is possible. There's 300 instructional minutes, 300 minutes of learning in a day in Ontario. We want all of that time to be used to the extent humanly possible for learning. And we think parents expect that, and we want them to know that we stand with them in that. And so we're working very closely with the school boards to achieve that. And when we had heard a plan representing about 25% in-class learning by an educator, we heard from parents saying that seems really low. And so we're working with the school board collaboratively, as we have done with every element of society, all levels of government, all stakeholders, all public-private sector unions right across Ontario, to sort of do what's right when it comes to flattening the curve and ensuring a good quality experience, be it in education or health or any ministry that we're leading in. So I think there is a way forward. We just ask for flexibility. We ask for everyone to be part of that solution. And if they are, I think we'll get to a plan and by their board meeting tomorrow.
Follow up?
Minister, we're also hearing from supply teachers today who say that they're concerned that the nature of their work will take them into multiple schools and put them into contact with many students, which in turn increases their risk of contracting and spreading COVID-19. Should the government take a similar approach to supply teachers that it did with PSWs working in multiple long-term care homes and ban that practice and limit them to only working in one school?
Yeah, we've effectively done that. Our guidance already says to school boards that those supply teachers, vocational teachers really need to be, to the extent humanly possible, focus on one school or a small limit of schools for that supply. We are trying to minimize the contact of cohorts for the student and likewise for the staff member. So that's already the case, and we're emphasizing that each and every day as we work with our school boards. The other thing that's unique in Ontario that No Province is doing is we've allocated $10 million to do professional development and training for health and safety in the context of how to manage some of the protocols and implement them for all teachers full-time and likewise for vocational teachers and supply teachers, which ensures that no matter who you are, if there's a student that has a supply teacher on a day in the week, that educator will have the exact same professional development and health and safety training to ensure that they know exactly what to do under any circumstance, including if symptoms arise or a child becomes ill or anything like that. So that's the type of proactive thinking the government has put in to ensure everyone that walks into our schools that is an educator or a staff member, that they have that training and that they know that the school boards are working hard to minimize contact between schools for the very reason you cited, to minimize contact and really to strengthen the integrity of the cohort.
Next question.
Next question comes from Tina Yazdani from City News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Tina.
Hi, question is also for the Education Minister. So I just wanted to follow up on that TDSB plan to shorten the school day. Parents say 48 minutes is inconsequential when it comes to the safety of their kids. You've said repeatedly you're asking for flexibility. They too are asking for the government to be flexible here. Does it defeat the purpose having school boards come up with their own plans if the government is just going to veto them?
Well, the government is going to collaborate with them to ensure that it maximizes the educational experience from a pedagogical perspective, from an educational perspective. We need to work with them to ensure that we really get the most out of that learning experience, given the challenges of the last year. And I think parents want us, yes, absolutely, to prioritize health. And that is, of course, the very basis why we closed schools in the first place in this country, the first to do so. It's why we have a leading plan in this nation by virtually every measurement to ensure that from testing to screening to cleaning to public health nurses to the hiring of 1,300 custodians to asymptomatic testing within our schools, unique elements only Ontario has. We led the way in masking from grade 4 up. We're encouraging boards that are willing to consider masking even below grade 4. I mean, every step of the way we've enabled them to do what's right. But we also have a role to ensure that we get public health, that our health standards are met, but that we ensure that his child has a positive learning experience. And then what I'm suggesting is public health will always triumph in these discussions. But I think it is important that we try to maximize and push the system to get the very most learning experience for a child in Ontario. And that's what we're doing very constructively with the Toronto District School Board in real time.
Follow up.
Thank you for that. The next question for the Premier comes from my colleague Faiza Amin. With the majority of post-secondary learning going online, students can stay home and housing. One particular
Sorry, Tina, you're breaking up. Can you start
willing
over?
to negotiate with them. Now they're on the hook to pay thousands of dollars for accommodations their son won't need. They're of course not the only ones in this situation. What is your government doing to help?
Tina, you're going to have to repeat your question. You're breaking up.
I apologize, Tina, you were breaking up there.
Oh, sorry about that. So it's about student housing, and the majority of post-secondary learning going online, a lot of students won't need it anymore. One family in particular says the student housing company they signed a lease with isn't willing to renegotiate, and now they're on the hook to pay thousands of dollars for accommodations their son won't need. They're, of course, not the only ones in this situation. So what is your government doing to help?
Well, I'll bring this up to I'll mention this to the Minister of Colleges and Universities, and ever since day one, if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you, but I promise you one thing, we will get back to you by the end of the day once I get that answer. But you make a good, valid point. If they've signed these leases, we've got to protect the students.
Okay, next question.
No fault of their own.
Next question comes from Vic Adopia from CBC News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Vic.
Hi there. We're already seeing this in other provinces. Is it possible that the first day of school could be pushed back until there's an agreement between the school boards and the province on class sizes, staffing requirements, and all those COVID safety measures?
Vic, I'll pass it over to the Minister. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. I mean, as I indicated last week, we put out a guidance to school boards saying that flexibility is going to be really important to allow school boards the time to get this right. We know what's at stake here when it comes to getting, in the case of Toronto, hundreds of thousands of young people back into school safely in September. So I've indicated I'm comfortable with the staggered restart to enable school boards a couple extra days. We're going to be flexible. I've made this known to chairs and directors over the past days that we're going to be partners with them to ensure a child can get into class safely, that we minimize the first day of school where you have the entire class, the entire school congregating on day one. We just want to make sure that public health is number one, our top priority. And so if they need a bit more time to do it, we will work with them to achieve that. And ultimately just make sure that kids are safe when they start school in September.
Follow up.
Okay, thank you.
Next question.
Next question comes from Randy Rath from CHCH-TV. Please go ahead.
Hi, Randy.
Hi, Premier. I'm just wondering about the CFL, your view. They've canceled their season. Do you think that's it for the CFL? Do you think they'll come back next year, or do you think that league's done?
Well, you're talking to a big football fan. I hope the CFL comes back. I know the Feds denied the $30 million, but, you know, it's so important in so many parts of this country. It's important here in Toronto and Ontario, Hamilton, and Ottawa, but it's really, really important in Saskatchewan. And, you know, we have one of the Saskatchewan girls right here. She's a big Rough Rider fan, and especially Calgary, Edmonton, BC. So it's important. And let's pray that they come back next year, stronger than ever.
Okay, thanks. Also, the Mayor of Hamilton went on CHCH-TV this weekend and told us that you're wrong, that it's not his decision whether he allowed drinking in parks, that you guys have to enable it legally. Your office got back to me today and said, no, the mayor's wrong. And then just a little while ago, the mayor came back and said that the changes you guys made to the Liquor License Act never went through, that the laws were never completed. How are people in Hamilton supposed to know who's right here?
Well, just look it up. You know, I don't want to come down heavy on Mayor Eisenberger, I should say. You know, he's trying to do the job, but we passed it. We passed it that, yes, you can responsibly go into a park and have a beer, have a glass of wine, And our staff called him and told him, and he's still coming out. He's doubling down, I guess. But, well, I'll send you the legislation. I'll send it over to you, and then when we get on tomorrow, you'll say, yeah, you're right, they can. You know, the same as for Toronto. People have had a few cold pops in the park, nothing happens. So, you know, I just believe we should have a little bit of leniency, and I guess he's trying to direct it away from himself and the council. Guys, step up, give Hamilton a break, give the people at Hamilton a break. They've been cooped up for months. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to turn this into a big thing with Mayor Eisenberger. Yeah, I'm sure he's doing everything he can. The guy's working his back off too, just like we are. But my point the other day, Randy, is give the people a break once in a while. Well, they need it. So.
Last question.
Last question comes from Jeff Gray from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Jeff.
Oh, hi. Hi, Peter. How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to go back to the schools issue for a second. It seems like the issue in Toronto is the prep time that the teachers are accorded, guaranteed in their contract. Is there any contemplation of somehow reopening the collective agreements and changing that to make that flexibility that you and the minister talk about and making that happen?
Well, I'm going to pass over to the minister, but this is all about, you know, being flexible, working with everyone, working until the students can get more time in the classroom. It's about making sure the parents, you know, they know that they're going to have a safe environment for their kids to go to school. All I'm asking, you know, I've come up here a few times. I'm begging the union, teachers union, let's just work with us. Like, man, come on. Like, we work with everyone. Absolutely everyone, and just them? Why? It's not a coincidence. We want to do everything. Our plan is the best in Canada, bar none. And the world, I'm a Torontonian, no one loves Toronto more than I do, but there's a whole world outside of Toronto, the GTA. There's areas that aren't affected, affected, I should say, like we are. So all I'm asking, come on, you know, work with us. Anything you ask, we do. We want just a little bit more, and you shoot it down. It's just not fair. I know what's fair and what's not fair. And what they're doing to us is representative. It affects the children, affects parents. So work with us. That's all I'm asking. I'll do whatever we need to do to reserve, you know, make sure we get the deal done as we did in the past. I'll pass to the minister.
Jeff, what we're asking for is flexibility. Every single subsect of society has had to be flexible, change the behavior, adapted, pivoted to really rise to the challenge, which is a generational, once-in-a-century pandemic. We also face an economic recession. Every one of us, people at home, you know, who've lost jobs, who've worked through this pandemic, who've, you know, demonstrated an incredible level of sacrifice. It's for them that I think we really need to make sure that spirit is represented by everyone at the table. That's what we're asking for. It's not an unreasonable request to ask educators, their unions rather, because I know educators want to be part of the solution. And I know in their heart they want to do everything humanly possible to keep their families safe and our kids safe as a collective. And I appreciate everything they're doing in that respect. But the teacher unions, I think, just need to hear a message that is being embraced across the country, which is to come together, work with the province, find some creative ways to change what has historically been delivered differently in the past. And that's okay. In fact, that's probably expected in this type of challenge. We need people to be reasonable. So we're going to continue to work with them. We're going to continue to work with the school boards. We're going to continue to be collaborative and flexible and step up our contribution because, as the Premier noted, this plan that has been unveiled, which is systematically being scaled up with new layers of prevention, leads the country in so many areas in our contribution, in our net investment, in the fact that we do have unique elements to Ontario's plan that no province has, that parents in other provinces have asked for the emulation of Ontario's plan. And that includes public health nurses, which, to be quite frank, is an important asset we can deploy to support symptoms and screening and testing in schools. The fact that we have 500 that we're hiring in real time, as well as asymptomatic testing of high school students. That's going to be a real value added to ensure schools are safe. And that's in addition to the fact that we're hiring 1,300 custodians, a $100 million one-time infusion of investment this September for this year alone to clean our buses and to clean our classrooms. These are significant investments. And if we work together, knowing that the government is stepping up, school boards are stepping up, and with the support of our federation partners, I absolutely have confidence we can get these kids back in class safely this September. But we've got to do it together, and we all have to be part of that solution.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just to follow up.
My apologies.
Pardon me.
Do we get a,
Go
do we
ahead.
get a follow-up there?
Yes, follow up.
Oh, hi. So for Mr. Lecce, then, just to put some specifics, if we can, on this, we're talking about prep time, we're talking about flexibility, we're talking about teachers doing unpaid prep time or extra on their own time. That's the ask?
We're asking for teacher unions to come to the table with a willingness to work with the government on flexibility surrounding prep time, yes, but we're also asking them more specifically to be part of that solution. I mean, every single one of us, school boards are looking at using their reserves, their contingency, these rainy day funds. The province is stepping up, investing, in and around $1 billion when you look at unlocking the money set aside through the contingency plus the provincial investment. Everyone is doing something. And we need the teacher unions to be part of that solution. I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that spirit is being matched right across our country. And parents want to see, yes, a full day of learning that is safe. And I think we can move the discussion and move the outcome closer to that by working together.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.